Howdy. Bonjour, y'all. Let's see. Bonjour, y'all. But, sorry, thought I was going to be running a little bit later than I did. I'm trying to get closer. Can y'all tell me if you hear me? Let me see if I've... All right, we'll try that. See if that does any better. It looks like we have some folks on the chat. Oh, awesome. Thanks so much. Hello, Sue, Medusa. Someday, my ODBYF. Lisa. Let's see, Debbie. Oh, bonsoir. Bonsoir. Janie. Oh, my gosh. Okay, we've got a bunch of people. That's very cool. Make sure we get a good view of Miss Freya if she shows up. Freya, you going to come up? She's not feeling so great yesterday, so that always happens on the weekends, right? That kids tend to not do so well. So in any case, bonjour, y'all. Let's see, I think the lighting's okay. And all right. Well, I hope everyone's doing all right, and I hope everyone's doing well, and whatever associated heat waves and whatnot have been kind of resolved here. The weather's been absolutely beautiful the last few days. Today got a little warm, but up mid 80s. I think it was maybe mid 80s, something like that. But nothing horrific. So I'll take that over 99 and 100 degrees. But let's see. Oh, let's see here. I'm probably missing something. Debbie, Janie, Moments of Time, Josephine, Connie, Ty Cobb, Kevin, Ron. Hello. But well, I'm glad everybody was able to come in. I'm actually kind of surprised. We've got a good number of people. I just figured we're getting toward the end of summer break, so I didn't know if people would still be coming in or not. Lynn Marie, bonjour. Janet. But, no, in any case, I like it said in the description of this that I was going to keep going up, kind of things that I would do differently or things that struck me kind of oddly, and just kind of keep going on with that. Jay Marr, from very hot, but 103 Portland, Criminelli. That is here in Perpignan. I'd say this year probably 105, 106 for like a day type thing. It's been a very warm June, July, and August here. Recently, now in the last maybe week or so, the temperatures have broken. So it's been actually really pleasant right now. So and it looks like it's going to be pleasant now for at least another week or two. So I'm hoping. Let's see if I can get my. This hand can work better, well, supposedly. But hopefully we could get a nice little break in the weather and it starts turning into fall. That would be nice. But I'm happy if it's 70s, type thing. That's all, then at night it gets to maybe 68 or something like that. So not cold, but it's certainly cooling off. The Beasto Kid, hi from west of Ireland. SJ, hello from Arizona. Wow, we got everybody's just from all around. That very cool. If you get an opportunity to hit the like button for the live, that would be greatly appreciated. Algorithm seems to like that. So, in any case, but I hope everyone's doing well. How's the weather in the west of Ireland? Has it turned cold and rainy yet, or is it still, kind of decent? But Laurent, hello. September here can be hot as August. Laurent, where are you? Are you the one that's nearby here, or somewhere else here in France? Hello, Carlene. But in any case, like I said, the weather here has broken decently in the last week or so. So it's been nice. It's been really nice. But I think maybe low 80s, something like that. So, and I'll take that. And I've been keeping track of the weather in like Lyon and Dijon, and it looks like the weather's broken there too. Hello, Dana. Hello. But in any case, just to kind of keep on from the theme from last. Oh, let's see. Connie, sorry to hear Miss Freya's not feeling. She really was. I mean, I'll get back to this stuff a little later. But she was really clingy last night and like wanting to sleep on my arms when I'm sitting here, working, and then she would just like lay down next to the door going into the bathroom and just kind of lay there, and she didn't want to move at night. And Santa, yes, you're the one that's in Santa Steph. Yep. But well, in any case, with Freya, sorry, just got to skip around here. But in any case, late last night, it was maybe like 2 o'clock in the morning or so. She jumped on my bed and kind of walked around a little bit, so I could tell that she was getting a little bit of pep back to her type thing, and she threw up a little bit and did all that stuff. So, in any case, she's today she seems better. Tonight she seems to be a little clingy again. I'm hoping she jumps up on her tree. She's been running around my feet. Come here, Freya. People want to see you. They don't want to just see me. No. Well, like I said, not, but that she is here. Don't know why she's yet, but there she is. Sorry, I have to look at her, otherwise I can't get the right arm over here. Hey, all right. I'm just going to walk around the desk for a bit. But she'll be back. She's just kind of roaming around here. Right, they really want to see you. They don't care. They don't care about me. They want to see you. But in any case, so she's felt better. It seems like she feels better today, which I'm glad for. She's been eating and all that, so must have been just a little bug that she had. Hopefully that's all it was. Let's see. So Janet, New York City has been relentlessly hot and humid. Highs 80s tonight. Ugh, yeah, that would be bad. Be so kid. Untypically warm and sunny here. Oh, and whoa, congratulations. Hopefully y'all look forward to that. Jack, hairballs, diabetes. I don't know if they're really that connected. I don't think she had hair. Just a little bit of bile in it, but it wasn't. There was no blood. There was nothing else that was in there. So, let's see. Vivian, bonjour. Oh, from Oregon. Hello. Croquettes are very important. Sometimes bad ones can attack kidneys quite fast. Jeannie, yeah, she seems better than she certainly was last night. Why she's being somewhat camera shy here, I don't know. But hello, Elizabeth. But in any case, what I'll probably end up doing here is I'll put out a poll in the as a post on the channel, and just see if to continue these on a weekly basis, or maybe go to a bi-weekly basis for them for a little while, maybe at least until the fall. I just don't want people to get just super tired of me coming on and just blathering on about things. So, but in any case, as long as people find this of interest and people come in and show up, then we'll keep doing them. But like I said, I'll put out a poll and just see about maybe other days and possible times, because I don't want to make this. I do this late at night for me, just because I think it's a better time for folks, at least in the U.S. But maybe that's not. Maybe this isn't a great time for people. So we'll see. But I'll put a poll out about that as a post, probably this coming week, just to see. But I'll plan on doing it next weekend. But I know it's also Memorial Weekend in the U.S., so I don't know if we'll get many people to show up or not. But in any case, I just wanted to go through this list. I've got this list of things of what kind of pros and cons of what I had done and what I would have done differently. I think we covered up to the French bank account. Yeah, because I talked about the counter check and the check that I had to send into the registration system here in France for Freya. for 11 euros. And they only took a check, so that I had to send it in snail mail. Apparently there are vets who take care of that all electronically, but the vet I had did not. So in any case. Oh, Laurent, that's very kind. If I need anything, just ask and contact me if I can help my play. Okay, well, that's very kind of you. I appreciate that. Yes, Janet, Labor Day is next weekend. So, I may have said Memorial Day. So I meant Labor Day. And, but of course, living here now, I don't remember that, I know Labor Day here is May 1st. So, in any case, and hello, Linda. So in any case, if it turns out that I'll probably do another live next Sunday, but if it turns out that like I get really low people coming in, then we'll just write it off as just it's kind of end of summer thing. People are getting ready for that, their kids go back to school and all that sort of thing. So I did actually I didn't get a chance to record it because it was kind of a gloomy day out and not all that exciting, but I did end up going to the ophthalmologist this week. And that's in one of the videos I had before. I was taking people on a ride to go to a local optician's office, which they have seems like 1,000 of them here. But a local optician's office to get my eyes checked and make sure that everything's all right. And there was a little growth that somebody had, something in the back of one of my eyes that somebody identified, 15 years ago. And it's never turned into anything, but they never really identified it as anything. So I just wanted to go get this checked just to make sure nothing's going on. And so I made the appointment with this ophthalmologist through Dr. Lieb and was able to get an appointment pretty quick. I did it the day that I found out that I couldn't use their services there at the opticians. I figured they were going to be kind of like Costco in the U.S. or any of these other places where you kind of can walk in and just get an eye exam and all that. But that was not what they did. And so they just take your prescriptions and get you glasses, may help you choose out glasses and all that sort of thing. So in any case, I need to get a prescription for the glasses, and that was through the ophthalmologist, not from the optician. And so I made the appointment and went in, and super nice people, and they spoke some English, enough English to make it easy to get through the whole process. And I gave them my carte vitale and my mutuelle information, and very modern looking office. So as opposed to some of the other places I've been, where they're very modest office spaces, where it's like no artwork or no the walls were kind of beige, kind of like these walls. Which is kind of beige and nothing interesting, just chairs and maybe some people sitting there type thing. But this one was very much more modern, and kind of reminded me of going to an ophthalmologist in the U.S. And just super, well, as far as I could tell, and what do I know about equipment, ocular equipment and that, but it was very high tech. Went through the whole process of, where they, check your eyes and come in and scan it and go out and do the air test and all. Part of the pressure testing, and obviously then testing vision, and my long distance vision is still remarkable, even though I had 30 plus years in the IT industry and spent most of my time writing, so it just writing documents and reading, and so I'm surprised my eyes have lasted as long as they have without going real bad, but I have difficulty reading things up close, and so as a lot of people do, and certainly as we get older, that becomes more of an issue as well. And so in any case, but I went in, got the exams, talked to the doctor for quite a while. Again, it's very much like, they really care about your what's happening and all that sort of thing. Turns out the spot at the back of whichever eye it was, left or right eye, was I guess he just identified it as essentially just a freckle. And which I have a lot of freckles, so it's just that made sense. He's like, "Oh, there's no issue with that." He said, "It's just there's nothing problematic and all that." I apparently have very early stage cataracts, but he said for my age, not uncommon, and there's nothing to be alarmed about that either. And but my eyesight's not. My distance sight is great. My close-up sight is not great. And so anyway, he gave me the prescription. Off I went, and I paid. So I mean, like I said, all these exams, it was the full gamut of things. Probably there for 40 minutes, 35, 40 minutes, something like that. Well, maybe 45 minutes or a little, maybe closer to an hour. But the very, very nice. Everybody was super nice staff. It was 52 euros is what I paid out of pocket. And then they electronically submitted that to my mutuelle. And so at some point, I'll probably get some reimbursement of that 52 euros. I haven't received anything yet, but it's only been less than a week. So that Medicare. So that was my ophthalmologist appointment, and that was very easy to set up on Doctolib. And tomorrow I go in for scans of my of my feet, and that's only because my doctor was concerned about some hyperpigmentation that I had on my lower legs and on my feet, and that the dermatologists in the U.S. were thinking it was potentially something to do with some reaction my body had, to the radiation treatment I had for the cancer, and but they said it was all just topical. There was no reason to be concerned. My doctor here, my GP here, was a little bit more concerned, so she wanted me to go get these things checked. So that's what I'm doing tomorrow. But so let me just make sure I've got to see there's some comments coming through. Connie says this day and time works great for you. Okay, cool. Oh, Dana's the same way. Okay, well, like I said, I'll put out the post, and if this day and time works for people, then we'll certainly keep it that way. Let's see. Connie says, me too. I have a slight tear or scar in my optic nerve discovered late in life. Ooh, okay. Well, hopefully that's not painful. That mine's apparently just on the backside of my eye socket or somewhere where they must have some skin that gets melatonin that it's apparently got a freckle. Debbie, I remember that video. Then you went to that cool. Yes, that's exactly. I had to wait for the bus anyway, so I figured I may as well go over and check out that kitchen store. So let's see. J-Marp, have you found any websites that rank healthcare professionals by education and reviews, including specialists? I have not. I primarily right now just rely on Doctolib, going through it. And while the information is not always correct, especially about if they speak English, that's been a little bit off for some of the things. But I found that I just go by who can I get an appointment with that's fairly quick. And a lot of the times, if it's a specialist type, then I'd have to go to my GP and have them give me the referral for the doctor to go to. But the ophthalmologist, I didn't have to have a referral to the ophthalmologist, so that worked out fine for that. But if I, like for a cardiologist or dermatologist or these other folks, I have to have it. That I have to go through my doctor for that. But they tend to work with other. Well, and I don't know if this is true for everybody, but doctors tend to work with other specialists, and so they tend to know who they want to recommend people to. And so I just let them. At this point, I just want to have something that gets me an appointment within a reasonable time frame. So let's see. Connie, awesome fee for all those. Absolutely. Zero complaints about the 50. I was a little surprised there was a charge, but that's probably because they did like that whole range of things, that whole gamut run of things. So let's see. Ileana, isn't that amazing to pay so little? It really is, and I'm sure the French maybe have a different, view on it because this is what they're used to in that. But boy, coming from the U.S., I know that when I got these glasses, this was a few years ago, before I moved here. But I want to say it might have been in 2022, maybe 2023. Just went to a regular, like my eye doctor sort of thing, and made the appointment and went in, and I got the eye exams. I got this pair of glasses and a pair of sunglasses, prescription sunglasses. And even with my insurance coverage, which probably wasn't great, but my insurance coverage, it was over $1,000 for the and these are not fancy frames or anything. It's, I just was like, okay, well, that's what it costs. So in any case, Ms. Ciara, I'm thinking about LASIK surgery just to prevent any decrease in vision. Yeah, if I ever start having issues, I've had friends of mine over the years that have gone through LASIK, and I don't think anybody has ever complained about, what happened and, all that, all the hoo-ha that you go through for it. But I definitely, if my vision started to get to the point where I don't mind wearing glasses because I don't normally wear glasses. I'm only wearing these so that I can kind of read the comments and read what I wrote for the document. But under normal circumstances, I wouldn't be wearing glasses. So, but if it gets to the point, I know that a lot of the friends of mine who did it over the years just didn't like waking up every morning and not being able to see without having their glasses or put their contacts in. And I guess just over, decades of doing that, they just got tired of it. So anyway, Elizabeth says, hello, Freya. And she's hiding over to the side here. Let's see. Laurent, gotta go. Good evening, everyone. Oh, well, thank you, Laurent. I'm sure you're gone by now, but thanks so much. Let's see. Do you feel medical care is more thorough in France? So far, I do. Most of the time in the U.S., it felt more like, and the doctors. I'm not saying that the doctors don't care and all that sort of. I'm sure at some level they do, but it just felt more like if you weren't like in physical pain or bleeding or doing something like that, it just became more of a rote, okay. I've got more patients to go look at. If you're not violently ill, then I gotta kind of get you through this and get out of it. So that's how it kind of felt to me with it. And I have not felt any of that here. I mean, they want you, it has to be a productive meeting, but it's not like I have yet to feel like I'm just some sort of, I'm the 14th person they've seen today, and they've got 20 more to go, and all that. So far the doctors and specialists have all spent the time that they felt they needed to spend with this, to go over things. And it's not. And again, I'm not, riddled in pain or anything of that sort. So typically mine are fairly easy appointments. It's just that they do tend to spend what I feel to be an appropriate amount of time with everybody. So. Let's see, Ms. Sierra, France forbids doctors from raising prices too much. Yeah, it does seem like especially for the appointments, it seems like it's somehow regulated. I don't know that for truth, but it does seem like it's somehow regulated, that they might bump it up every year sort of thing, but it's one of those things where it's not like I charge you $100 or 100 euros and somebody else charges 30 euros. It does seem to be kind of a set price for those. Let's see, Miss here at Monica. It is much better here in France. I split my time between Paris and San Diego. Yeah, it really, from my experience as well, it's been far better here than what I experienced in the U.S. And I had some good doctors in the U.S. I don't, not trying to shoot anybody down, throw them under the bus. It just feels like it's much more concerned here. Let's see, Elizabeth. At one time, I wanted fashionable frames for my eyeglasses. However, I've returned to my earlier preference for eyeglasses that work well to help me see. Yeah, I know. The mutuelle only covers, and again, when you're here, the carte vitale covers 70% of your expense, and then the mutuelle is meant to help top off the other 30%. But it depends on the level of the mutuelle that you have as to additional things like for eye care, dental, things like that. And so at the level I have, I think they give me like $100 or €100 credit on glasses. So it's not significant, but you can choose other levels type thing. So if you have a lot of eye issues or things of that sort, you can choose a higher level of coverage, and it just costs more. But I didn't do some sort of cost analysis to see, if I went up to level 5 from level 3, it cost me this much more, and I get this much more coverage for eye care. Just because I don't have that much of a need for eye care at this point. I mean, yes, as I get older, I'm sure that I'm going to be, needing things, and possibly with cataract removals and things of that sort. But right now, my need's not that terribly strong for it. Let's see. Regardless how the frames look like. Yeah, I've got a big head, and so I know that I've got to have, my concern primarily is getting it over the ears. So as long as I can get glasses that will fit over my ears, the rest of it really doesn't matter so much to me. Sabine, Jeff, do you maintain an address in the U.S.? If so, how? Technically, yes, I do have an address in the U.S. Because I can't right now have a foreign address. At least I haven't figured out how to do it with Chase Bank. But no, technically, I rent a room from a friend's house, and they take care of my mail, which is very little. I mean, they probably get more junk mail through that than anything else. And but that's how I keep the address there in the U.S. Is I technically have a rental agreement for a room at a friend's house. So let's see, Miss Sierra, preventative care is very important in France and Europe. And yes, I totally agree. That does seem to be much more concerned about that versus the U.S., where it's they're more concerned about getting through the people, and probably they definitely want to help people who are in more immediate need. You definitely get the feeling that when you're there, if I'm not like if I went to an urgent care, if I'm not like having my arm dangling off the side, or I've got blood coming down off my side of my head or something like that, you do kind of get the feeling that they're like, do you really need to be here? You could get this taken care of somewhere else. And plus, it's nice that the pharmacist here can help out with some of the minor things. If you're not feeling well, if you feel like you have a cold or a flu or something like that, they can help you with some things from the pharmacy, and rather than having to make a doctor's appointment, going to see them. So let's see. Hello, JC. Thank you for joining in. Let's see, Gary, what option did you choose for the FAB health insurance when you first moved to France? They recommended the level of, because I talked to Fabian about that, and talked to him about my expectation. I said I have medications, obviously, and I don't but other things, I don't really have any chronic issues, at least knock on wood, that are currently I'm aware of. And so I knew that my medical needs weren't going to be significant. I just really want to have coverage that if anything's, a heart attack or a stroke or something like that, would provide me coverage. And so I don't remember what level it was, but it's also based on your age and things of that sort. So, look, the insurance was not inexpensive, but it wasn't, well, it probably was actually less expensive than what I was paying in the US. So, I mean, all things considered, it wasn't bad. I think mine was $2,400 for the year coming into France with using FAB insurance. But of course, everybody's rates are going to be different because of different situations and all that. And I don't know. I did get the one that was no medical, that which also would drive up the price of it, but no medical exam required. Because I thought that would be more of an issue with pre-existing conditions, like with my cancer and all that sort of thing. So I did opt for that. So that would take the price up a bit too. And so let's see. Oh, I'm skipping some people here. Oh, Linda, good evening. Good evening, y'all. In from Yorkshire. Let's see. Oh, Leah, bonjour. Let's see. Ty Cobb. France has figured out that keeping people healthy costs the system less. Exactly. Haven't quite figured that out in the U.S. Bellador, hello. Let's see. Elizabeth Ann. If I can ever relocate to Europe to live, I'd never return to the U.S. As they say, never say never. But that's kind of my mindset as well. I don't really have any, I'm not in expectation, I suppose, of ever moving back. Just, it is what it is. Let's see. Ms. Sierra, Jeff, how is your French coming along? Are you taking classes? I'm doing the italki, which I have a link in the description of my videos. But that's been very helpful for me. I don't do it as often as I should be doing it, but I'm giving myself some leeway with this and some grace that, I'm improving my French. It's not going at I'm certainly not going to be fluent by the end of the year, but I'm getting better. And I'm getting more confident when trying to talk to folks. And so, but I still can't really hold a real conversation. We can just go over some pleasantries, talk about the weather, ask them their names, all that sort of thing. But it's still fairly basic communication. So that, but I'm okay with that. I'm giving myself time, and I'll work on it. Let's see. Elizabeth Ann, one strange thing though, I've heard that the French still smoke. Not all of them, of course. You know, that's really weird to me too, especially the young folks. It's just the older folks I fully expect, because you got all those visions of the French films and all that happened over the years and all that. But it's just surprising. And vaping's big with young people here too, and smoking's very much still part of their culture, and that just strikes me so odd with all the information we have now on it. But yes, you're right. It is still very much pervasive. So, Pian Westy, bonjour, y'all. Life has been chaotic. I feel like I blinked and you went from 100 subs to over 4,000. Amazing what authenticity can do. Have you? Oh, well, thank you for making the live. Appreciate that. And thank you for that. Yeah, and believe me, no one's more surprised about the growth of the channel than what I am, with it. That I'm pleasantly surprised, obviously. I mean, I'm thrilled that people join the lives. I want this to be helpful for folks. I don't, I get a lot of requests, and some, helpful advice from folks about, what to do and all this sort of thing. And I very much appreciate whatever advice people want to provide. I'm a sponge, type thing. But it just takes me a while to get used to this. It's not, I've still only been doing this since March. So, technically I've been at this for 5 months. And I really thought it was, like I've said before, I really thought this was going to take, 6 months to a year just to get, you're supposed to have 100 videos. And you're supposed to do all this other stuff to, get your feet wet and all that. And I'm at 26 or 27 videos, and 8 of them are lives. And so it's not, I don't have a lot of skill with it. so it kind of is what it is. And, I hope people enjoy it. And I hope they get some value out of it. That's what I always want to have, is getting people some value. And, if you ever thought about, and I've seen some comments on other people's videos that are kind of in the same niche, where it's, either Americans or someone's moved to Europe and, kind of going on about it. But they several of the comments come on about, oh, you're just trying to get people to move there and all this. I honestly, I don't have any skin in the game. It's just, if somebody's interested in doing it, I'm happy to talk about it. And I'm happy to share my experiences with it and kind of show people what it's like. But, if this isn't a thing, I'm like I said, I'm never going to be selling any classes. Well, again, never say never, but I don't plan on ever selling any classes or anything of that sort, where it's I don't, I want to be helpful, and I find this to be the way that is easiest for me to do, sort of thing. So anyway, hopefully people find it of use. But let's see. Lex to Mex, okay. Please hit like and subscribe. Oh, well, thank you so much. Yes, that's always appreciated. I hope, like I said, that's the YouTube algorithm likes that. So, Ms. Ciara, hopefully America will come back to its senses and recover from its. Yeah, you and billions of other people hope they get back to their senses soon. So. Oh, P and W. Well, I'm not sure if I don't know if that's Pacific Northwest E, but no, I totally understood what you were trying to say there. Let's see, Carlene, what will you do if you need a nursing room? Have you made any plans in that regard? No, not yet. And at some point, I'm going to have to get that kind of planned out too. Obviously, I don't, I don't want to be. And I don't plan on being a burden to anybody else. And so I've got to get that figured out as certainly as a single person here, well, anybody. It doesn't matter if you're in the US and Europe and Asia, whatever type thing. You really have to put some plans together as to what happens if things turn out that you need help with those types of things. So I haven't done it yet. But I know that that's something I do need to address. So Let's see, Elizabeth Ann. Please remember to click on the, yes, please click on the like button. That's appreciated. Thank you, Elizabeth Ann. Let's see, Lex Demex, okay. How does France factor how much taxes you owe as an expat to apply for French healthcare? You don't really need to be paying any French taxes to apply for the French healthcare. You just have to have lived here for at least 3 months. So, I mean, I do pay taxes towards the, some of the admin things and all that with the VAT taxes I pay on things and, kind of the support of the local economy that I do with either, whatever shopping's done, traveling around, whatever, just kind of living. It does, it costs me something to be here. So it's, so there is some donation to that. If it gets to a point where I decide that I want to start another business and start a business here, then that will kick in the higher taxes for that. But they don't tax Social Security, United States Social Security in France. So it's still taxed in the U.S., but it's not taxed here. So let's see. Medusa, the live on Sundays are highlight of my. Oh, that's. Oh, I appreciate that. Let's see, Elizabeth Ann, video is buffering intermittently. Okay. Well, hopefully that's. We got somebody coming back. And she's down. Miss Freya, you're a disappointment to these folks. They want to see you. Let's see. So Linda, Jeff, just out of interest, have you ever done the Myers-Briggs personality test? I'm interested to know your outcome versus what I think you could be. Just wondered, you're so relaxed and considerate. Well, thank you, Linda. That's very kind. I have done several personality tests. That used to be a thing in the U.S. for kind of middle and upper management folks in corporate worlds, is they just want you to learn how to deal with other personalities and how to do this. So I think a lot of mine has just come from, and I probably come off as very relaxed. Some people probably that know me more would probably argue this a little bit, but as being more relaxed is that I don't fear anything. I've faced a lot of things in life, and so it's not, like talking on camera. Well, put this hand up so I can actually see it. Talking on a little camera and chatting with folks. This is not normal to me. I've never been a presenter. I keep forgetting to look at the camera versus looking at the screen. But this is all totally new to me. And so, but I don't have any fear of it. It's not, if somebody doesn't like it, okay. That's, I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. I'm not, I guess I've never been really like a people pleaser. And so, obviously I want to be, everybody wants respect and everybody wants to be, admired or what at some level or at some point type thing. But as far as like, I attach any of my, I guess my self-esteem or something like that to this. No, I know I'm going to be bad at it. I need to learn how to get my camera on this thing so I can do HD videos as opposed to these kind of more grainy videos off my laptop camera. But, it just takes some time to learn that. But no, I've been through several of those tests, and I'll have to see. I probably should do another one just to see. But I'll do another one, and I'll let you know what it was. But it just seemed to me that I did the test so that we could learn how we could deal with people of other calculations that come out of those things. So as far as like being in, an IJT or an EJT or an EM, whatever the mixtures of letters are, I've been through several of those exams over the years, just with groups of other people, because executives thought that would be of use for us to figure out how to work with other folks. It's like, well, if you're an asshole, you're an asshole. I don't. I know how to deal with them, that sort of thing, but it's not something that I don't take any personal attacks on things. So, but I do, but I appreciate that, Linda. I do try to be considerate of others. I don't want to, I guess that's probably just part of the way that I've been born. So, Debbie, I like that you answered the question. So many other YouTubers give partial answers. I've asked some to others. Thank you for being genuine. Oh, I appreciate that, Debbie. No, I'm happy to answer whatever questions I can. And, so far everybody's been super nice about things. And so, Let's see, Sabine, Linda, he's American. That's why he's American. That's Sabine. There's a lot of Americans who are not particularly relaxed. But I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. I'm sorry about this. I'm just trying to scroll back. Ty Cobb, we just received our carte vitale and have decided to stop Part B of Medicare, saving more $600 a month. Wow, that's a lot. Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like you can't, and I don't really know how a lot of and my folks had. My father worked for the government, the U.S. government, and he had a great. He worked his way up. Great job, great pension. It had survivorship on it, so when he passed away, my mother got the pension until she obviously passed away, and you know, it just had some great coverage for them. So for them, it was great. You know that they had it and all that. You know, and but because of and I'm going to be like a lot of other folks. I mean, you just work in corporate world, and you might be from job to job or something like that. I've been in jobs for years, and but the thing is that I don't know how people now. I mean, I made good money. It wasn't like I was making $3 an hour or something like that, and was able to save and all these things. But as soon as I went from corporate world to having my own business, and then having to get insurance, and then if I when I sold the business, it was like, okay, well now I have to get some sort of private coverage, and if it weren't for the Affordable Care Act, it's like, and because I had cancer, I couldn't have afforded it. It was just stupidly priced. And so this whole thing with driving people to, medical bankruptcy essentially in the US, especially as we get older, it's like, that's horrible because there's no way you can recover from that. It's not like I can just go get another job and, start working and building up my savings again. So in any case, that's Ty, I'm glad that you all were able to drop that. I'm not gonna sign up for it. So I am sure there's penalties for it. If I do ever, for whatever reason, end up moving back to the U.S., there's probably going to be some penalties for signing up for Medicare at that point. But I'll deal with that if I have to, type thing. But right now, that's not the plan. Let's see, PN Westy, how has the heat wave been in Perpignan? We planned for northern coast of Brittany, leaving in a month. We live in the Pacific Northwest, and all the heat we're seeing is scaring us from the south. Yeah, especially from the Pacific Northwest. I lived in Seattle for a number of years. And I always wondered when I first moved there. I wondered why during the summer nobody. This is when I was living in Seattle. Why nobody? Because I'm coming from the south. If we didn't have rain like once a week or something like that, no, it's a drought. We got this drought coming in. We got this. In Atlanta, it was Lake Lanier is dropping, and it's the water source for Atlanta, and they're going to be out of water in 2 weeks, or whatever type thing. And then we'd finally get some rain, and it was scary. It was just lots of drought and all that sort of thing. But when I moved to Seattle, the summer, the first summer I was there, it was beautiful. Just sunny. A couple of days might have been hot, but for the most part, wasn't bad. Type thing. But no rain in sight. And I wondered why nobody was talking about drought. And then like September hit, and it's like, okay, winter's here, very rainy type thing. So I get why they're not going on about it. But I'm sure they have bouts of drought as well. But no, I love that part of the country. It's just so beautiful up there. But as far as the heat, several people I've talked to, and there's some other YouTubers I've talked to here that in France. When I mentioned to them that I live in Perpignan, they're like, "Oh, it's too hot. That the south of France is too hot for me." And I think that it is hot. I mean, it's not, and everybody has their kind of threshold of pain that they have with that. I know the people in the Pacific Northwest certainly are not going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to have 100 degrees" or something like that. But it's not. How should I put it? Because I lived in Austin as well, and that to me was like living in an oven. I couldn't wait to get away from Austin. It's a great city, super people, all that, some lots of friends, but it was 100 degrees plus, probably 9 months out. It seemed like 9 months out of the year, and that was hot to me. And so coming here, yes, we get some really hot weather, and having air conditioning absolutely helps with that. It's not, it's horrible to try to sleep when it's 83 degrees outside or something like that. So if you can sleep, and so I get that there are times where it's too hot, but honestly, it's not. To me, it's really not that bad. I mean, they consider it hot here when it gets above 80. And so when it gets above 80, that's when you start seeing some of the heat warnings coming up on your screen and saying that, the next day is going to be hot or whatever. Now it's been hot. I mean, the heat waves have certainly been hot. Some of the heat waves in June and maybe in July seem to really hit most of France, not just the south, but most of France got covered by that. And, but honestly, and I know northern France definitely is going to be much less accustomed to having heat, things like that. So, I don't mind it. I wouldn't want to. I did my first summer here without air conditioning, and there were several days where that was tough. I'm not gonna lie about that. It was tough. And I've got some new friends here that have moved to Perpignan. They'll be here, I think, through October is what they said, and they live in an apartment that's city center that does not have air conditioning, and this was rough. The last I think they've only been here for like maybe 3 weeks. And the first 2 weeks they were here, the weather was just hot, just was, and maybe like in the upper 70s, maybe at night, type thing, usually around 80 degrees, which it's just tough to sleep with that sort of weather. So, but now, of course, the weather's broken, for how long, we'll see. But now it seems like it's back to normal. And so we're, right today, I think we were like at 84, 83, 84. So that was a little warm for what we were kind of hoping it would start turning into. But as the week progresses, this coming week, it looks like we're in like around 80-ish all week, and then maybe upper to mid 60s at night. And what I liked about Lyon and Dijon is that both of them are lower temperatures than this. I think they're almost like 10 degrees lower, and of course the nighttime temperatures are much cooler too. So that's kind of ideal to me. So that's been very positive. But I am going to be keeping an eye on what happens during the winter too, just to see with that. But yeah, that I think the Brittany area. I don't think I would mind that. I like rain, so I don't think I would mind that weather either. Let's see. Linda's become a regular slot in my diary. Oh, cool. Linda, he's the only American. Linda, that can't be true. That I'm the only American that you know. That village there's got to have several Americans there. Let's see. Anne, my husband and I really enjoy your lives. We moved to Nice a few weeks ago. Oh, congratulations, Anne. Well, I hope y'all are doing well. We've got friends that live in Nice, and they love it. But they don't. I don't want to just completely gloss over it. They're not thrilled about all the tourists that go in there, but Perpignan really it's not very touristy. So, like today was the first day in a while that I went in town to go have lunch. And I practically had a private bus, and that is going to be coming to an end on September 1st, because that's when kids go back to school. So I just enjoy it. But downtown was very quiet. People must still be coming back from vacations. The city's been very quiet the last few weeks. Let's see, Sabine, what kind of business would you start? I don't know yet. I like the idea of something made in France. I just need to kind of clarify in my mind what I want that to be, sort of thing. So, but I'll keep everybody apprised of what's going on with that. I just can't do anything until next year, because I'd have to change my visa type over to Profession Libérale, which I have to write up a business plan and submit that and all that hoo-ha to the prefecture here in Perpignan. And so, but that's easy enough for me to, I don't fear that, because I wrote most of my life. So coming up with a business plan, I can come up with something. We'll just have to see how it flies. Let's see, Elizabeth Ann, Jeff is American who escaped America. Yeah, I tell you, there's a lot of truth in that. A lot of truth in that statement, Elizabeth Ann. But, Ms. Sierra, great to hear about your French progress. It's also great to find French friends that will help you. Yeah, absolutely. And, that is also going to be a priority. Right now, I am kind of focused on trying to improve my skills here with YouTube. I haven't been doing a lot of the videos as you've all seen, over the last couple of 3 weeks, just because one, it's been super hot, and it's just, it takes a lot of time for me to go out and do some of these filmings. And it's just like, God, this is just, I'll wait until the weather improves. And then also with the summer slowdown on YouTube, I mean, it's just such a small amount of money you make off of these things so far. And I know it's, I don't have a big following and all that sort of thing, but honestly, for the size of my channel, I get pretty decent views on the videos. It's just that, it just doesn't pay much. And so it's like, well, maybe we'll wait until we get toward fourth quarter and just see if the ad rates improve. But of course, I think they said there's like 100 million hours of videos get uploaded every day, something like that. So it's a lot of competition out there for things. Let's see, but I appreciate that, Miss Sierra. Yeah, I am working on it. I do want to speak better and be able to kind of, actually have conversations with people and make more French friends and all that. So let's see, Deborah, I appreciate your honesty and transparency. Well, thank you. That's very kind. I know that relocating to a new country is not easy, but your videos answer a lot of questions about making the transition. And I appreciate that, Deborah. That's really the whole point that I wanted to put together this channel for, is that I want to show people that, one, it's not that difficult, especially as a retiree. Now, if you have to come here and work, that adds a significant layer of complexity to the whole process. But if you're retiring early, or if you're retired and you just want to give this a try, again, I'm not trying to say that, oh my God, this is the best thing everybody could do. This is because I don't know what people are like, and so it's not for everybody, But but it's just that for me, this has worked out really nicely. And would I recommend this to people? Absolutely. And I just want to show people that you can do this without being rich. It's not, yes, I live in the south of France, and yes, I live in France and all that sort of thing. But Perpignan is not an expensive area to live. It's probably one of the most affordable areas in France. And without it being like a rural village, maybe in central France, probably is cheaper than living in Perpignan. But for a city, the size of like 130,000 people, it's very affordable to live here. And, good train network, good healthcare. I'm sure like in Lyon and some of the larger cities, it's better healthcare options that are out there. Maybe there's more wait times, things like that. I don't know. I don't know that. And so, but there's more options for, mass transit. And that's really what I'm looking for, is more options for that. And, but I want to show a realistic way how people live, and not just like, here are my, Instagram moments, or look at this pretty thing, or look at this over here, look at this, this scenery, and look at, oh, here's another view of this. And, I want to show nice things, and all that, but I also want to show people like, well, what's a grocery store look like? What's a DIY store look like? What's what am I getting into when I go into France? Is this going to be, am I going to backwoods, or is this going to be something super cool to go to? And that's what I want to showcase to people, not not just all the good. I'm not going to fancy restaurants. I'm not, and I'll probably start doing some of those for the restaurants too, just from some of the local businesses, just to kind of help them, get some exposure as well. So when people are here, they know where to go, or some of the places, some options. And but in any case, I just want to show people that you don't have to live in Nice. You don't have to, live in the, well, not necessarily Nice, but some other very expensive area of the country, or Paris, and just have a good French experience. Anyway, sorry about the rambling. Let's see, Carlene, I am curious about nursing home care in France because I lived in France for 7 years. Now a newly minted dual citizen, German, U.S. Oh, congratulations on that. Returning to Europe has been on my mind. Just turned 70. Oh, well, happy belated birthday, Carlene. That, I definitely will be exploring that. And I'll put a video together about that. I don't, because and it is kind of odd. There are several places here that handle funerals and things of that sort. And maybe I should just go in one of those and just kind of see what it's about, for getting something set up. And I'll talk to some other folks about kind of the legalities of wills and things like that. Obviously, that's not my strong, I'm not an attorney. I'm certainly not a French attorney. But that is something I do need to figure out. It's not, everybody should have some sort of plan. Wherever you are, you should have some sort of plan as to what happens when you're no longer here, type thing. Let's see. Annette, yes, it's buffering. I thought it was just me. Oh, I don't know. I'm not seeing any buffering on my side. Let's see, Elizabeth, could Freya be causing the video buffering? I bet she probably is. She's probably doing something down there. Let's see. Oh, this thing keeps skipping. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to get back up here. Let's see. I think I'm back. Let's see. Someday came. Let's see. Have you spent any time in Bordeaux or thought of living in that area? I did. I've not spent any time in Bordeaux, but certainly watched a lot of videos on that area. Done quite a bit of research on it, type thing. It was more expensive than what I wanted to spend on an area. So, but it looks absolutely beautiful. I don't, and I think at the time, I was having such difficulty from the U.S. having such difficulty like connecting with estate agents here that I'm sure I reached out to somebody there and I never heard back from them. So I probably was just one of those annoying Americans who was reaching out and, they'll waste my time and, kind of disappear sort of thing. So no, once I got a hold of Valerie here, it was just, okay, I'm going to Perpignan. I honestly, I'd never heard of Perpignan before reaching out to Valerie. So, but I'm very thankful for the connection with her. But yes, I have looked into Bordeaux. It looks like an absolutely beautiful area, but it just was more expensive than what I wanted to spend. Let's see. Miss Ciara, I have a neighbor here in Paris who is 90. She's currently in a nursing home. She just increased her mutuelle insurance and pays about 1,000 euros a month for a room. Okay, well, that and there are. I will say there are senior. I have found senior apartments. I would imagine there's some age restriction on them, type thing, but they tend to be very small. They tend to be very small, but reasonably priced, and they tend to be scattered around a city. Like Lyon has several of those, and I think they were between 700 and probably 1,200 euros a month, depending on what size you had. And I think, I don't know what else was included in it other than the rent. So I think it included utilities and gas and all that sort of, but I don't think it included internet, unless they had Wi-Fi in the building. But they do have senior residences here. But I know that they said that they had like a hospital that was across the parking lot, doctors that were on call there on the weekends. Those types of things were available. I don't know how much, if any, additional those types of services were. I kind of doubt they weren't. I still had the mindset in the U.S. of everything costs. Wherever you talk to somebody, it costs you something. So, that might have also all just been included in your typical French healthcare, sort of thing. Let's see. Let's see. Lynn Marie. Jeff, do you pay social charges on a pension? Not so far. I think, I haven't had to do taxes yet. That'll be next year. Well, I'll know next year for that. So, it might very well be that I do. So I'm erase that. I don't know if that's true. I don't think because they don't tax your pension. I think they might add your pension, U.S. Social Security. So when I say pension, that's what I mean. There might be other pensions that are out there, and I don't know what the tax treaty. Again, you'd have to really contact an accountant on that. With the tax treaty, that if it's any pension or if it's only U.S. Social Security, that they don't tax. I suspect they don't tax any pension, but I don't know about like IRA withdrawals and things of that sort. Now, if it's something that's categorized as income, then you absolutely will be paying social charges and all that type of thing. Let's see, Linda, loved your personality type answer. Okay, well, I appreciate that. I know it's kind of a non-answer, but that I try my best. Let's see, Elizabeth Ann, we'll just say, A's have inner darkness. Yes, they do. They do. And I don't know, and everybody has their thing. So you don't know what path people are walking. So, but but sometimes you can tell that people are just, they're that way, so. Let's see. Sandra, Jeff, on banks here in the U.S., you might want to look at U.S. Bank. Was told by a branch manager recently they don't require a U.S. address for their account holders. Oh, okay. Well, I'll check in on that. I've been with Chase Bank for 20 years, 25 years, something like that. No, and it's kind of, I'm sure it's the same way here too. If you're not in some, if you're in one of the, like I'm in Banque Populaire, which is a large bank here in the south of France. So I'm sure if I walked in, I'm going to be kind of treated like Joe Blow off the street. But Chase always just bugged me that it was like, I've been here for like 25 years. And, of course, you don't really go into the branches much anymore. So, people kind of lose track of who you are type thing. So. Linda finally figured out the blanks. That's cool. Let's see. Alex, the heat in southern France is dry, unlike the southern U.S. Yeah, that's one thing. I guess the big difference between like Bordeaux and Perpignan is that it is a drier climate here. So I'm sure that's the case of kind of going up to Montpellier and over to Marseille and all that sort of thing. But it is a drier climate here, so it's not it's hot. It certainly gets hot during the summer, but it's for a couple of 3 months. And then, it's fairly cool. The winter was fairly cool here. So I don't know if that was normal or if that was an abnormal winter. And I'll find out this winter. This will be my second set of data points. But but yeah, with like Bordeaux, I was told, that there's some people who've actually moved here from Bordeaux because like their child had really bad asthma and it just flared up quite a bit in Bordeaux. So they ended up moving to the south of France because it was a drier climate. So it really just depends on what you want. As I've lived here now for, heading toward 2 years, I really feel I would like to have some more rain. But I don't mind having a little bit more humid. So let's see. J-Mar, lived in Seattle for 18 years. Laughed at your comment of why they aren't concerned about dry summer. Never experienced drought. Had snow. Yeah, I haven't lived there for a number of years, so I don't know if I never kept track to see if they had drought conditions. But yeah, as soon as September hit, it was like, oh, okay. I see why they don't go on about it. Let's see, Ellen. Hi, Jeff. Hello, Ellen. Happy to finally join you live. My hubby and I have been in Austin 45 plus years, relocating to Southwest France in a couple months. Will not miss this crazy heat and drought. Yeah, I tell you, and look, I didn't work outside. It wasn't like I was, working, doing street repair or anything, something, line maintenance, for power lines and things of that sort. So, but oh my gosh, just walking from your car to a store or something like that, it was just like, oh, and then getting back in, and it seemed like it took 10 or 15 minutes for it to, finally cool off. Let's see, Pacific Northwest, being from Oregon, we're known as mossbacks for, yeah. Oh, well, they're probably gone by now, but, bonsoir, Pacific Northwest. Oh, let's see, Linda, we tend to call people Pratts in Yorkshire. yeah, Pratts. There's some other words too that they use in Yorkshire, but we'll keep it with that one. That seems to be a nicer one. Let's see, Elizabeth Ann, the climate in southern France sounds more like San Diego rather than Fort Lauderdale, Miami. South Florida in summer is very humid and hot. Oh yeah, no, I lived in Melbourne Beach for a few years when I worked at NASA at the Kennedy Space Center when I first got out of college. And that really wasn't that, to me, it wasn't that bad, just because it was on the Atlantic side and, you got the breezes. And so it wasn't too horrible. But boy, if you went into Orlando and even over the Gulf side, yikes, that was just super hot and humid. Let's see, Sabine, I think you mentioned before that running your AC was expensive. How much? Actually, if I did say it that way, then I misspoke. But the AC seems to be less expensive than the heat. And so I don't know if that's because they do a rate change in the summer, maybe when they've got more renewable energy kicking in. but so far, the and maybe it's because we don't run the AC as much as we ran the heat, type thing. But um, and I'm sure for some people it's not that big of a deal. But both Richard and I are here almost all the time because we don't work. So and he stays predominantly down. His space is kind of down on the main level of the house, and I've got my little office here type thing. So I spend most of my time up here. And but aside from going in town for lunch or meeting up with some friends, um, we're here. We're here in the house, and so we're both doing laundry. We're both doing these things, and there are times where it's half the energy price. And I think our block is like 1:30 to 7:30 a.m. and from 3 to 5 p.m. Every day. The electricity is half price for the period. So we try to time things to dishwasher, laundry, and all that sort of thing to be around those times. But they really seem to be better set for people who work, because I mean I don't need to be up and about and doing laundry at 7:30 before 7:30 in the morning. So I can, but it's like I don't it's not that big of a deal. So I just end up we so right now I think our 2 month send the bills out every 2 months, and I think our last bill, which was for like June and July, which would have been some of the hottest months we've had, I want to say it was like 180, 220, maybe $220, 220 euros, something like that. So, I mean, considering that we did run the air when we needed to run the air, that, and I was, as they say, kind of clutching your pearls, waiting for that bill to come in, because it's like, oh, that's going to be a doozy. And it turned out not to be that bad. We've had some heat bills that I think, when the heat, everything's electric in the house. There's no gas here in this property. There's certainly gas in Perpignan and all that, but in this property, it's all electric. And so water heater, everything's electric, cooktop, all that. And I want to say during the winter, we probably had like a 320, 340 euro bill for 2 months. So 170. So if we just factor in about 170 a month for utility type thing. So I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's not bad, but it's not great, but it's not bad. I'm sure people have a lot worse than what we have. So let's see. France Import. Sorry to be late, Kristen. Hey, Kristen. Glad you could join. Sabine, I'm getting ads on this live. Thought I turned those off. I apologize. I thought I turned those off, so I must have missed that on this one. Let's see. Corey, bonjour. Lots of San Diego. Yeah, San Diego is supposed to have the. I've been to San Diego a couple of times in my life. It's supposed to have the best weather in the U.S. But I'm sure it's also very expensive. Linda, you missed the best bits. There should be some sort of forfeit for turning up late. She's tough. She's tough. There's little give here. Let's see. Oops. Gosh, I'm trying not to skip through these things. Elizabeth Ann, are there community centers in France? Yeah, there are. They do set up. The cities do set up cooling centers. So, libraries and like museums, libraries are air conditioned. So, and they do have malls too. So, if there's something that if you just really are hot, you can get away from it. But if that's where you live, that's where you live. Let's see. Miss here. Also, it's wonderful not to drive everywhere we live in Europe. Yeah, you're right. I mean, and again, I know if you live in a rural area, you have to drive type thing. But that's really, it's the first time in 45 years since I've been driving that I haven't had a car, and I do not miss it. I don't. There are times and that's one of the reasons why I want to look for maybe a larger city, is that I want some more public transportation options. But so there are times obviously that would have been nice to have had, but I don't miss it. I really don't miss it at all. Let's see, Leah, Jeff, have you seen a dentist yet in France? If so, how was your experience? It was great. I did see a dentist last year. I've got to make an appointment for again this year for another cleaning. I think I talked about this maybe in one of the other lives too, but I had a crown put in the back shortly before I moved here, and that started getting to be very temperature sensitive. And so when I went to the dentist, I made mention to her about the sensitivity there, and she packed in some sort of, I mean, it kind of felt like grout. I'm sure it wasn't that, but some sort of paste that she put around the tooth because it apparently there was some exposure below it or something. She said it was totally normal that happens, but in any case, she um, packed something around it, waited 10 minutes, 15 minutes, tested it out with that sprayer that has incredibly cold water. Didn't feel a thing, so it totally numbed the whatever. It sealed off whatever it needed to seal off. And she cleaned. Then the next visit, I went in like the following. I couldn't do it that day, but went in the next day or next week for the cleaning, the typical cleaning. That was the fastest cleaning I've ever had in my life. I had no X-rays. Apparently, well, at least according to this dentist, they only do the X-rays if there is visible evidence of like cracks or issues with your. I've had ancient fillings. I haven't had filling as an adult. So I mean, it's been 40 years. The fillings I have are probably 40 years old anyway. And so she looked at those. She looked at the teeth. There was nothing wrong. She cleaned everything. I was probably out of there in 20 minutes, maybe something like that. And I paid 26 euros for it. I was amazed, absolutely amazed. It just was remarkable. Let's see. Patricia, elder gal stayed in an area of Perpignan that didn't seem very nice. How does where you live differ? Well, every city has areas that maybe could use a little bit more attention. Um, where Allison lived, at least in one of the areas, that was kind of a nice neighborhood. But I didn't see all the neighborhoods. She lived in a couple of them, I think, here, and while she was here, and but there's some neighborhoods where you kind of walk around, and it's like, that's maybe not the best. But honestly, they're all cities are cities. You're going to get people that are bad people, but honestly, compared to what was in the U.S., I would pick just about any neighborhood here over some of the other neighborhoods that I've seen, in Atlanta and Chicago and all that. So, but the area that I live in is very kind of middle class suburban. So I live in a row of kind of row houses, and so there's nobody behind me. I've got which is nice and not so nice. And right, the nice thing is there's nobody behind me. The not so nice thing is it's also what is behind me is a very large daycare, and so when the kids come back, it can get loud during the day back there when the kids are out on recess, and boy, they just let them loose. So let's see here, Miss Freya. Let's see, Linda, the great thing about French real estate is the amount of land that is available with country houses, far more than England. Really? I would have thought that, well, of course, I mean, I think England's much smaller, but it just, I would have thought England would have had a lot of country houses that would have had some land to them. But yeah, central France seems to have a lot of land that goes with some of these properties. Let's see, France imports. We had so much trouble trying to find a rental that's not an Airbnb, so much so that we're leaning towards purchasing. At least that way we can rent it out while we're gone. Rentals are hard to find. I mean, there's just no doubt about that. And it seems like any region, whatever region you're looking at, type thing, you can certainly you'll be able to rent it out. But it's just that I'm not going to buy anything until I've kind of found my area that I really want to live in, sort of thing. So that's always been mine. But I know that there's some people that they may have like 3 or 4 dogs or some other, lots of pets or something like that. And landlords, while it's very pet friendly here in France, the more pets you have, even the harder it's going to be for you to find a place to rent. So, you may end up with that. Let's see. Oops, I think I skipped over a bunch of people again. Dion Marie, I'm in Las Vegas. It's currently 104. That's considered a, yeah, Vegas. That's another place that it hot. Let's see. Sabine, abs are no problem. Just mentioned because it should help you with YouTubing. Yeah, and I really appreciate that, Sabine. I don't, obviously if people watch the ads, that's even better. If you even click on the ad, apparently that's even better. But but it's kind of one of those necessary evils that it's what helps generate any sort of income. So I appreciate that though. Let's see. Al, hello there. Just tuning in. Hope to catch up the whole video from the beginning. Oh, well, thank you, Al. We appreciate you. We appreciate you joining in. But let's see. Linda, good idea. Maybe to buy Jeff a coffee. I think he needs to get. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do have that buy me a coffee link. So if anybody's interested in, keep, of course, Miss Freya's kind of not on side today, but gotta keep her in treats. Gotta keep her in treats. But let's see. Let's see, Lynn Marie, I'm arriving in 2026 and I want to go directly into a 1-year rental while I can still use my U.S. driver's license, not a state reciprocity. Yeah, that, yeah, 1-year rental certainly exists. I mean, I'm in a 1-year rental type thing. So they certainly exist. It's just, it's just hard for, new immigrants to find rentals here, especially if you don't have like a French job with French. If I had a French job with French income, there'd be a whole lot more choices for rental options type thing, but I don't. So it's always going to be a challenge to find something. Marie, I'd like to stay put the first year but be able to drive and search. Yeah, and that's essentially what I've been kind of, although at a much slower pace. If I had a car, obviously, it would be a lot easier to get around and check out places and that. But without a car, it's still, you can get around with the trains. It just takes a little bit longer to do it. So, but I gave myself the first year, and we'll say 1.5 years, just because it's been trailing on a little bit, to do kind of all the admin things. Get the do the carte vitale, get all the insurance stuff, resolved, get the doctors resolved, get those things figured out, figure out where you want to live in the area that you can't seem to do three, and then kind of just get all the admin, and then go through your first renewal of the visa, and it's just a lot of the stuff is through snail mail. Because I did have a license from a state with reciprocity, start that process, and so I've started that process, and just kind of get through all that stuff, and then once I'm through that, now I can start to look at, okay, for next year, this is what I would like to do, sort of thing. So trying to explore areas, and right now it's looking toward but I haven't talked to anybody yet about properties for rent, what that looks like. So it could be that gets tossed out, and maybe it's Dijon, type thing. So which is not like saying, oh, that's a horrible second choice. It's a beautiful city. It's just that I really wanted something that was a larger city, but we'll see. But let's see. Lynn Marie, I'm hoping Valerie can. I hope she can too. That she's a workhorse. I mean, that woman she'll do whatever she can to make sure you get set up. Let's see, Deborah, can you provide tips or video on what to look for in scouting trips? Finding a scouting trip to the south of France for 2026. Yeah, I'll see about putting a video together. Once fall hits, it'll be a lot easier for me to go out and do these things. I just didn't want to be doing, trying to do train trips up to a place where it's 100 degrees, where it's 100 degrees here, and just be like, okay, all I am is just sweating, type thing, and I'm just miserable. So once the cooler weather is actually here, then I'll start to do some more traveling about. Let's see. Dana, thanks for all the info, Jeff. Much appreciated. Well, I appreciate Dana. I appreciate y'all coming in, joining in. Let's see. Okay. Well, it looks like, oh my gosh. Oh, we're on an hour. Oh my God. I didn't realize how long. All right. All right. Well, once again, I didn't really get through any more of my list. So maybe we try to do this again next week and just see. And I hope people don't mind me going through the questions in the list. And I'm trying to say the questions because I know that there's some people that when they go to watch the video back pretty quickly, it doesn't have the have the chat that goes through it. So, oh, you know what? I also just had top chat on. Oh, criminy. How many people did I miss? Well, hopefully I didn't miss anybody with that. Okay, see, Jeff's still learning things. But in any case, I hope people find this useful, and I really enjoy doing these. It's just that I just want to make sure that we see a good number of people that come in. So we'll keep doing them. And but like I said, I'll put out a post with a poll just to see if there's maybe another time that is better for people. But like I said, I just try to do it on a Sunday night here just because it seems like that's a better time for the UK and for the US to hit people in the early afternoon. So, yeah. Oh, and Lynn Marie, you may do the list points. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a regular video on it anyway because I'm sure there are people on the live that don't want to watch the lives and would rather go through that. So, let's see. Dana, you're doing a great. Oh, well, thank you, Dana. You're open. Now I'm not even reading it. You do a great job going through the questions and comments. Okay, thank you so much. Jay Marp, thank you, Jeff. Always enjoy and appreciate your style information. Have a good week. I hope you all have a good week too. Let's see. Ileana, I love your spontaneity of your lives. It does not matter if you did not cover the list you made. I get good info from your life. Okay, well, Ileana, I appreciate that. All right, everybody. All right, well, looks like we made it through. Merci beaucoup. But I guess à bientôt. We'll see you next Sunday. Can't quite. I don't know if I'll ever get this, but anyway, au revoir. À bientôt.